Read number 10. The king must die. We need to be engaging theater and theatrical techniques in our ritual. In a coven ritual, you don't necessarily need these kind of things, but once you move into the public sphere, you need what theater can give you. When pagans are talking and we say that a ritual was theatrical, we tend to use this negatively. We tend to mean that the ritual was hammy, that it was over the top, that it was over dramatic. But we sometimes mean that you can sort of see the stage machinery creaking in the background. It means unnatural. It means ungenuine. It implies an absence of spontaneity. It means ritual that looks too considered. None of these things, for those of you who know theater, you will know that none of these implications are either accurate or deserved. Theater arises out of ritual. Theater, in ancient Greece, actors were priests of Dionysos. And this is something that and this is something that we direly need to reclaim in the pagan community. You need to take some acting lessons. If you've never had any, go to the community theater, volunteer. Learn how to project your voice. Most of us are capable of using many different voices in the course of our lives. Most of us actually make very little use of these many voices that we can do. Some training in acting can teach you how to make use of these. It can teach you how to prepare a text, to actually sit down with a text and think consciously about where you pause, what words you stress, those sorts of things. A text worth using in a ritual is a text worth committing to memory. How many times have you been in the middle of a ritual? Whenever you have need of anything once in the month, and better it be when the moon is full. If you had been under the mistaken impression that this was the goddess speaking, the priestess has at that moment utterly destroyed your willing suspension of disbelief. Learn it, learn it, learn it. There are techniques to committing text to memory. On a thumbnail, when I'm trying to commit something to memory, number one, I choose something very good to commit to memory. Number two, when I get up in the morning, I read it 3 times. The next day, I get up in the morning, I read it 3 times. The third day, I get up and read it in the morning 3 times. By Thursday, you will find you already know half of it. So then you can focus on going over again and again and again the parts that you don't know. Give yourself the freedom to work with good texts, to commit them to memory. If it's, my old high priestess back east used to say, if it's worth using in a ritual, it's worth committing to memory. A little theatrical technique will teach you the art of thinking about how you are going to be seen from a distance. These are all things that need to be considered. At the present moment, I'm working with a painter putting together our Beltane ritual. Originally, the plan had been that the red god and the green god would enter the circle and do a dance of courtship between the two of them in the middle of the circle. And so Paul is going to be doing the body painting. Now we have rewritten the ritual so that the red god and the green god will appear at the edge of the forest when we call them, kiss one another, and then chase each other off into the woods. The painter's part of it is to create a body paint for the red god and the green god from the waist up. So if the gods are going to be dancing amongst us in the middle of the circle, it requires a different kind of body paint from the body paint that they would require when we're seeing them only from a distance. When it's close up, you can focus on the detail. Far away, you need to focus on the overall effect. And the overall effect is always, always, always something that needs to be considered in the course of producing ritual. We need to be willing to use theatrical vocabulary too. I think we've tended to shy away from this in the sense that precisely for the reason that we think that theater implies artificial, that it implies ungenuine. But there's nothing wrong with talking about an audience. There's nothing wrong with talking about a stage manager. All of these things are necessary things for a good ritual. There is nothing wrong with that, talking about playing a god, because any actor can tell you that when you are personifying a role in a script, it really isn't that much difference from embodying a god in a ritual. So, read number 10, The King Must Die.